The second that the UFC announced the White House card during the Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway card on Saturday, UFC 326, there have been a lot of reactions across Twitter, across YouTube, surrounding around what this card is, who is fighting on this card, what does this card look like? And I honestly think that a lot of people have this all wrong. Now, I understand that when you hear Donald Trump come out a couple months and say there's going to be 6 or 7 title fights on the card, it's going to be great, it's going to be huge. Let me tell you, the greatest UFC card that you have ever seen, tremendous card, right? When that comes out, people are just thinking, oh my gosh, man, what could this possibly be? Is John Jones going to come back? Are we going to get John Jones and Tom Aspinall's going to get some cybernetic eye and he's going to come back and fight America versus England? Right? We're going to get that crazy look back. UFC Freedom 250 years ago. America defeats England for their freedom, right? Wow. What that could be. Maybe we'll get Conor McGregor, the notorious Conor McGregor, returning against Nate Diaz for the trilogy, right? Maybe that's what we're going to get. And then we get this, and people are super disappointed. Now, if we got Ilia versus Justin Gaethje, Alex Pereira versus Ciryl Gane, and Sean O'Malley versus Zahabi, and this was in May, or this was in April, right? If this was the next card, right? People would be chomping at the bit to watch this. People would be so pumped up to watch this card, but because it is on the White House lawn, it is going to get so heavily nitpicked. Now, I understand, do all of these fighters, now we just talked about topuria, Ilia versus Gaethje, Pereira versus Gane. Of course, those are fights that people love. People love Sean O'Malley. Ariel Helwani likes Zahabi, right? People like Zahabi, probably. I know people don't like Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel doesn't deserve to be on this card, and neither does Kyle Dukakis. Michael Chandler, see you at the top. He doesn't deserve to be on here up against Ruffy. But at the end of the day, this is not that bad. I would argue that based on 2026 standards of what the UFC has become, this is very, very good. Now, I get, Nick, this isn't UFC 300. You remember UFC 300, right? We had Figgy versus Garbrandt on the early prelims. We had Money Moicano versus Jalen Turner, King Green versus Jim Miller, the Unk battle, right? We had Diego Lopez on the prelims. We had Yuri versus Rakic. We had Bo Nickel, because of course he just always somehow magically ends up in these events. Just somehow magically he's got that Dana White privilege. We had Charles Dubronx Oliveira versus Arman. We had Gaethje versus Holloway, one of the most iconic UFC moments of all times. We had Wei Lee versus Jan, and we had Alex Poatan Pereira going up against Jamal Hill, where he sends him directly to the Shadow Realm inside of the first round. I get that this isn't UFC 300. The problem is that people came into this thinking it was going to be the next UFC 300, thinking McGregor's coming back, John Jones is going to come back. They're thinking that this thing is going to be so great that maybe Mackenzie Dern is going to scissor fucking Tracy Cortez on the White House lawn. They're going to fight in a mud wrestling contest. That's what people were hyping this up to be. There isn't even a single women's MMA fight on this card. And we have 2 title fights. And the best part is neither of them are Amanda Nunes versus Kayla Harrison. I know that a lot of people are talking shit about the UFC because, oh, Ronda Rousey, they could have had that fight on the UFC White House lawn. I promise you, that would have been terrible. That would have been terrible. We got a good card. Okay, I'm not saying this is the greatest card ever. I'm not saying this is UFC 300, 200, 100, right? I don't even know if this is as good as the fight card that we are getting in April, right? That's coming up next month. But what I do know is one thing, though. Women, they come, they go. I know that this is going to be a very fun card. Now, again, there's definitely talks to be had of, man, it would have been so much cooler if it was Ilia versus Islam Makhachev. And obviously, I agree with that. I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, I'm super duper interested in Ilia Topuria versus Gaethje compared to that fight. Because we already know what the hell is going to happen here. Ilia Topuria is going to decapitate Justin Gaethje inside of a round or two on the White House lawn. As an American, we are going to get shamed in front of everyone on the White House lawn because Justin Gaethje is going to get fucking slimed out. He's going to get put on a t-shirt on the White House lawn, okay? And I get that kind of sucks as an American, but it's going to be fun to watch, right? It's going to be fun to watch. Alex Pereira versus Ciryl Gane for the heavyweight interim title belt. That is a very, very exciting fight. As a fan of Poatan, I am very excited to see him get the belt. And I'm very excited to see if Pereira will end up fighting Tom Aspinall eventually, if Tom Aspinall will be able to return and if he could be the true triple champion. Because as someone that has always made fun of Dustin Poirier for never getting the real belt, I don't know if I can necessarily do tricks on Alex Pereira for getting the third belt if the third one's an interim title belt. But we will be doing that anyways. We will be obviously, playing the Galaxy Brain game here. So again, I understand that people are mad. Bo Nickel versus Kyle Dukakis. How the fuck is that on the White House lawn? How does that make any sense? It's because Bo Nickel has premium Dana White privilege. Michael Chandler, see you at the top. Now, I'm a big fan of Michael Chandler. I love Michael Chandler. I know a lot of people don't like Michael Chandler. I know a lot of people have been shitting on Michael Chandler. I know Michael Chandler hasn't really fought that good in the UFC in terms of, actually winning fights, but he's very entertaining, and he gets to fight Conor McGregor 2.0, Mauricio Ruffy on the White House lawn. And I do hope Chandler wins. I know he's not going to win. I know he's going to get destroyed. If we look at the odds for some of these fights, it's pretty clear that the guy is going to get sent to the Shadow Realm here. If you look at the odds, it is Ruffy minus 455, Michael Chandler plus 350, Diego Lopez versus Steve Garcia minus 192 to plus 160. It's not impossible that someone minus 192 could lose. Ask Max Holloway. Right? Bo Nickel versus Kyle Dukakis. I think everyone is just assuming that Bo Nickel will win. O'Malley versus Zahabi. I kind of do get, though, the talking point when it comes to this fight that we should have had Sandhagen versus O'Malley. And I don't think O'Malley's doing the dodge, doing the Matrix slow motion move to avoid Sandhagen. I don't think O'Malley's the kind of guy that's, going to pussy out and not want to fight Sandhagen, right? To me, that doesn't really make any sense. I think it's pretty clearly like a title eliminator type of fight here. It's going to be Merab versus Jan again. That has to be my assumption, because if you could, if you put O'Malley versus Jan 2 on this card, I mean, everyone would be super excited about that as well. But that's not what we're going to get. The UFC is going to give the shot to Merab. And Pereira versus Gane, basically a pick 'em, minus 115 to minus 105. And then Ilia topuria, minus 535. Justin Gaethje, plus 400. So, again, I understand why people are somewhat aggravated by the choices for some of these fights, okay? I get it. But, again, you would be, if you saw on Saturday night, hey, the card in May, Ilia topuria versus Gaethje, Alex Pereira versus Ciryl Gane, O'Malley versus Zahabi, and dude, Chandler versus Ruffy. Chandler has some fucking good fights, okay? I understand I might be one of Chandler's final defenders, like the meme of that guy who was fighting in Japan 20 years after the war, right? That's me with Michael Chandler, still going to the bat, see you at the top. Conor McGregor, if you're gonna come back, you gotta fight somebody. And that should be me on that somebody, right? I fucking love Michael Chandler, man. But I know he's going to lose, but, it's still exciting, okay? We have good enough fights here. The only fight here that to me is just outrageous is how the fuck is Bo Nickel here? Again, Bo Nickel is... Look, I don't think Bo Nickel's like some boring fighter. He's like garbage. We just saw him win recently by knockout. It was a pretty sick knockout. I think we all assume he's going to destroy Kyle Dukakis, but at the end of the day, it's not that bad, okay? So I get, guys, this isn't a 10 out of 10 card. This isn't UFC 300. This isn't even, again, the card in April, I do genuinely believe is better than this one, but this isn't 13, 14 fights, right? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fights on this card. 2 for the title, 0 for women's MMA. This is chef's kiss, magnifique. I promise you, this will be good. This will be very exciting. And all the people acting like this is garbage, in my opinion, are wrong. So Let me know what you guys think. I know there are still some rumors that maybe we get one more fight, right? Maybe they do one more add-on, one more layup here. You know, maybe we get Charles Oliveira du Bronx on here. Maybe, just maybe. I don't know if they will do that, but maybe we just get one more fight here. Throw the BMF on here. And the card will get even better. So let me know what you guys think about this. Do you agree with me? Do you think that everyone's getting their fucking panties in a bunch here and are getting way too angry for no reason? Or do you agree? Are you angry too? Did you think that there was going to be some crazy thing? You think Eddie Hearn should have fought Dana White on this card? Let me know. You think it should have been Zuckerberg versus Elon Musk in here? Let me know. I do appreciate you guys watching today's video. Hit that subscribe button if you are new and you did end up enjoying. Leave a like on today's video. Help me out a ton. See you guys in the next one. And let me know who you guys think is going to win. For me, I'm just going to give you my picks real quick, and then we'll do another video as we get closer to it. I'm going to go Ilia Toptoro, round 1, KO. He's going to fucking nuke Justin Gaethje. Pereira versus Ciryl Gane. I think Gane's going to try to eye poke him. I know it's like a joke. I literally think that Pereira's going to get eye poked, and it's going to be like a movie. You're going to think, oh, you know, it'll be like the Jamal Hill fight. He'll just be like, nah, fuck you, Herb Dean, and then knock the guy out, right? Sean O'Malley versus Zahabi. I think that the Sugar Show is going to win by decision. I got Ruffy sadly knocking out my boy Chandler in like the second round. Bo Nickel versus Kyle Dawkins. That's going to be a decision. And Diego Lopez versus Steve Garcia. I think that's going to be an exciting fight, but a decision win. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And again, I just think people nowadays are just really expecting the UFC to fucking roll out everything for this card, when if they did that, there was 5 title fights or something crazy on here. Imagine what the next couple of cards will look like, right? International Fight Week is like a month or less than a month away from this, right? I believe it's at like the beginning of July, so June 14th. That just was never going to happen. So let me know down below in the comment section what you guys think. Have a good one. See you guys later. Good boy.